And spawning what? Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Copa Hyperion, your weekly, bi-weekly dose of Latin American StarCraft. Copa Hyperion number 49. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. And I'm, of course, your host, Light VIP. With me today, I will maybe be joined by Darking. I actually don't know. For the time being, I'm just joined by my lovely plushies, and we are diving straight into our first series of the night. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Data Under the Sea, we have the Peruvian Terran player himself, representing Team Super. It is Tavo. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Data Under the Sea, we have the Brazilian Terran player representing Team Hellfire. It is Lixow. I do apologize for the intro, by the way. I may have been a little bit distracted as we were loading on in. I was just reading some news about Team NV. But now we are already just diving straight into Copa Hyperion. Again, for those who don't know, this is a regular tournament that we've had, that we've been running for over a year now. Over a year. Every other week we have Copa Hyperion, unless it clashes with something like DreamHack qualifiers or DreamHack itself. Of course, those are the only exceptions. Outside of that, you know, we're here with some Latino StarCraft, mate. And it's great to see Tavo back. Tavo has been a little bit MIA. I feel like every single time I cast a Copa Hyperion or Sentiment Latino, and if Tavo isn't there, I call him out. Because, again, there just aren't that many active Terran players in Latin America anymore. Like, I say that in the absence of Tavo, we have had Sinner, and Sinner has been on the rise recently, and it's been amazing to see him perform and win and become a champion. It's been insane, like, how good Sinner has been. But outside of him, like, it's also been a long time since we've seen Chaos Fate. You know, Tavo has been a little bit more inconsistent recently, so it's great to see him back. And it's also great to see him up against a different Terran player as well. I'm not too familiar with him. There's part of me that thinks maybe it's Yanji. I should probably check his challenge, actually. Because I know Yan constantly changes, shaking my head. I know he constantly changes his name. But yeah, he is representing Hellfire. For those who don't know what Hellfire is, it is a new brand, but not a new team. It's actually a rebranding of Amantes' StarCraft. And Yanji is on Amantes. So yeah, for whatever reason, they rebranded their professional team to something else, which personally I think is a bit of a shame. I loved Amantes, like I just love saying it, Amantes to StarCraft. So yeah, it would have been really cool. Or regardless, you know, they're still around. They just renamed themselves to Hellfire for whatever reason. I don't know the story behind it. I'm sure someone does. You know, if you're in the chat and if you're a little bit more familiar with the Brazilian scene, then let me know. But yeah, now that I think about it, Lixow, I was about to talk about how I've never seen him before. It's great to see new blood, great to see new Terran players in the scene. But this may be... No, okay, never mind. I was about to say this may just be an alt account of Yanji, but looking at the challenge page, I don't think that's the case. I do think that this is, you know, a unique player, an individual that isn't Yan. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he has to offer here, especially in a TvT. We have seen Tavo fall to other players before. I almost said Baby Marine. I meant to say, was it Angry Marine? No, it was... there's so many Marines. There's a Mexican Marine. And yeah, we've seen Tavo fall to these players before. So Lixow, you know, he's got a chance. It's going to be a tall ask as he goes for a bit of a drop. He did go for a 1-1-1 opener. With this opener, he did opt to switch out his factory, not prioritize Hellion production, so he didn't go for the Chinese build. Still has a force on the ground here to poke and prod and distract Tavo, but the main goal here is to deal damage with this drop. Meanwhile, across map, Tavo is set up so well, so defensively, a bit of a 2-1-1 here. He prioritizes Cyclones. Again, a much more defensive play. With Cyclones, you can shut down Ravens, you can shut down drops, just like this. Ooh, doesn't quite get the lock on, and the tank gets into the main. I don't think it should be here, though. The tank does end up sieging, but we got a lock on the drop. The tank goes down. Everything gets cleaned up. Ay. I thought the tank was going to try and maybe siege up outside the base, maybe shell away at the production or the depots or some add-ons. A more conservative approach. But Lixow, he just went balls to the wall. He just went all in. And we saw what happened. Surprisingly, Tavo, he didn't lose a Cyclone, didn't lose any of his Reapers. Looking at the units lost tab, Tavo lost Marines, Minerals. That is it. That is all he lost. Now he can move out across the map. Thankfully for Lixow, his second drop barely avoids the Cyclone. Thank God. But the Cyclones are still going to find some damage. We have the depot a little bit exposed here. It is going to go down. The drop is still moving out across the map. And now Lixow knows, okay, back at home, you no longer have your Cyclones. Now this drop could deal some more damage. At the same time, we got a drop coming out as well for Tavo. Again, it was a 2-on-1 opener. Stim, I believe, is done. Yes, Stim is already completed. So a little bit of an unorthodox opener, especially in TvT. But now we have the power of Marines. And what do we have in the main base? Nothing. We have one tank here to defend. It isn't even siege. It's here at the natural base. We do have the drop here landing in the main. Boys are being pulled. They hug that tank to death. Meanwhile, drop into the main base of Lixow. Yeah, he has his own tank, so he can clean this up as well. But not without losing a lot of workers. I say a lot of workers, 6 workers going down as well as a tank. Lixow defends, but Tavo lost a little bit more across the map. Again, he was forced to pull his own workers. He didn't have much of his own army back at home to defend, so the economy is looking relatively equal. The downside is that this game, Lixow has lost 3 tanks. 3 tanks, a tech lab, third CC is being delayed as well. Like, this drop is doing an insane amount of damage, more than it ever really should. But again, it's just because we lost so much early on for Lixow. He's forced to cancel his third. Oh my god. I did not expect that. Wow. Again, so much damage being done. And what Tavo lacked and what this build kind of delayed was his own third. But now his third is on the way. At least there we go. Oh. It's okay, never mind. I thought I saw a third on the way for Tavo, but no, never mind. He's still on 2 bases. He doesn't need a third. He threw down the third. Racks, that's what I saw. And yeah, Tavo is just going for more drops across the map. He kept the majority of that first drop alive. A lot of those Marines were able to survive. The Cyclones are still here as well. And he's going to be going for a Doom drop into the main. What do we have to defend? We got 2 tanks. We got some Ravens. We have disable potential. I say that. Okay, there's enough energy for 1 disable and a couple of auto turrets. So that will definitely help if Lixow is in position. Speaking of, not quite. 1 tank is already on siege. The other tank is shelling away, dishing out a lot of damage, but once again exposed. GG gets called, and Tavo will take game number 1. Ooh, GG. So hello Pacomite, hello Paquito, ay. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Shout out to Pacomite, as he is also signed up for today's tournament. He will also be here as well. I'm sure we'll cast him later on in the semis. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. He does have another Peruvian Protoss player standing in his way, but I do hope to see him later on. I do hope. We'll look forward to it. We'll look forward to it. But before we get to our Protoss players, we're still here in this TvT, and Lixow, like, even though like his builds did fall on its face, I appreciate like his initiative that he had that game. Right? He's like, okay, look, I'm up against a pro player. I'm gonna just like pick a build. I'm gonna go for it, and I'm gonna hope and pray. And he went for like a Hail Mary play essentially. We saw that unfortunately Tavo was ready for the drop. He was ready with his own Cyclones. But regardless, like the follow-up drop also did a lot of damage as well. A surprising amount of damage, right? Like the economies were looking equal. There's a world where if Lixow had kept his third alive, if he had even kept like an additional tank alive as well, maybe he would have survived. Maybe. It's also a bit of a shame that when he went for that drop across the map, he wasn't able to really confirm the production and confirm what Tavo was going for. Lixow didn't know that drops were coming until they were in his face. He just wasn't aware that he had to prepare for that. And now, here we go. We're diving into game number 2 and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Inside and Out. We have the Peruvian Terran representing Team Super. It is Tavo, aka Tavo. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Inside Now, we have the Brazilian Terran player for the first time here on the CranKy Ducklings, representing Team Hellfire. It is Lixow. Not yet. There we go. And yeah, I'm really curious to see what kind of opener Tavo's going to go for, because again, like 2-on-1 in TvT just isn't really, in my experience, isn't really much of a thing. You know, maybe still a thing regardless. So yeah, I'm curious to see if he tries to do it again, if he goes for a different opener. Like, that's the thing about TvT, is that there are so many different openers, so many different builds that you can go for, such a wide array, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, very excited to see what both players will bring to the table. I imagine Lixow won't go for the same build again. He won't go for that 1-1-1 into a tank drop. I doubt it. Another important thing to take note of when it comes to Tavo's opener last game is that it was insanely safe. He kept his Hellions and Reapers and Cyclones all at home. He didn't even make any Hellions, I don't believe. Just preparing for a Chinese opener or like a double Reaper opener or anything to come his way, a drop, a Banshee. So yeah, Tavo was just playing defensive, which makes sense. You know, I'm sure he's aware that he's the favorite in this series, and I hope that Lixow also takes note of that and calms down a little bit when it comes to the aggression, right? Be aware of how your opponent's playing and try and abuse that a little bit. So the first Reaper is moving out across the map. For the most part, the builds are relatively similar, Lixow does have a little bit more gas to work with here, so we'll see if, you know, he makes use of that in some way, and if Tavo is able to confirm what exactly it is that Lixow's doing. As he moves out. Meanwhile, we just see Lixow actually looking for a proxy here, a proxy starport over on the right hand side. So it looks like Lixow a little bit paranoid about what Tavo could do. I don't know if they've ever played against each other before. Tavo has been known to proxy in the past, but it's not really a common thing that he does. So yeah, Lixow just a little bit paranoid. As he just continues on with a bit of a 1-1-1, there's going to be no add-on swap here. We have just continued Hellion production as well. So yeah, things are looking pretty standard from Lixow. Much more defensive from Tavo. Once again, he's skipping his Hellions, going straight for the Tech Lab, going straight for a Cyclone. So he's not going to have much pushing power. He's not going to have much, again, like aggression potential, the ability to delay a CC on the low ground or anything like that. I mean, there is no CC on the low ground to punish, as Lixow's going for another drop. A little bit different, though. A little bit different. Hellions, they can be dropped into the main, and the Reapers can just jump into the main. Everything into the main. Obviously, this is putting Lixow behind economically, but he can make up for it if this can deal damage. You know, his CC only just now starting when Tavo's is already done and being morphed into an orbital. So because of that, Tavo is going to be ahead in workers, he's going to be ahead in mules. Lixow is ahead when it comes to his army, I guess. And again, there's always a lot of potential here. But Tavo's getting a second Cyclone. This is what I'm worried about. Just like last game, Tavo is just hyper defensive. He's got his Marines and Cyclones here ready for a drop. He's got his units in position at the natural for a run by as well. He's just ready for anything. And anything is coming. That's not good. Thankfully, we do see that Lixow is going to go straight to the main base, so Tavo is a little bit out of position. Oh, he's actually moving out right now. So once again, Lixow is going to be able to get in and kill some workers. Here we go. The Marines are trying to reposition. The Cyclones do finally come on up. They get a lock-on on a Reaper. Not the most ideal, but the second lock-on is going to be on that Medevac. So this is a one-way trip. There is no way out for these Hellions. Finally, they get into the mineral line. They roast up a couple of workers, but only a couple. They are lining up. Oh, but the Hellions, they just get zoned out. They get taken down. And in the end, 3, 4, maybe 5 workers? 4 workers go down at the cost of the Hellions, the Reapers, the Medevacs, the map control, the vision. Oof. I mean, he also got some scouting information, don't get me wrong, and 4 workers is nothing to scoff at. As we can see, like, the worker counts are relatively similar, but again, Tavo has been mining for longer, he's been muling for longer as well, he's been trading more efficiently, and he still has his Cyclones. Speaking of the Cyclones, they just go across the map, and now they can, wreak havoc here in the mineral line. This is what I mean when I said earlier that the map control was given up. Like, without the Reapers and the Hellions, there's nothing stopping these Cyclones from just moving on out. 3 workers go down. Do have a counter lock on. Nice scan here. Does take out a Cyclone of Tavo. I say nice scan. Was it worth it? When we're down economically, probably not. But, you know, look, Lixow, he needs whatever wins he can get, okay? Aye. And just like last game, Lixow is going for a much faster 3rd TC, which again, I also appreciate because he has to catch back up. I say catch back up, he has to try and get some advantage here. And again, his advantage this game will be a faster 3rd. Last game, we saw that he never got to finish it. He never got to make use of it. And I'm worried that that may happen again. May. So another drop going into the main base again. This is a vanilla. No, sorry. This is a stim drop, actually. 3 more workers go down. Half the Marines fall in the process. But this was another 2-1-1 follow-up. Interesting. It's just not something you see too often. But yeah, like, bio drop heavy play here from Tavo. You love to see it. And this is how he was able to pull apart Lixow last game. Tavo just playing the exact same way. And this is something where there's also value here because Lixow can also look back on these games and see how Tavo is playing and maybe adapt some of that to his own style. Tavo, again, he's behind economically, or when it comes to bases, I should say. But God, he's going to hit such a strong 1-1 timing here. And he's already like slowing down the mineral income of Lixow from all those drops. There we go. 3rd base is going to be on location. Tavo recognizes that he does have map control. He even has his Cyclone waiting outside the natural for any kind of move out. Oh boy, and I'm a little bit concerned here. I'm concerned because it doesn't feel like Lixow just has enough to really push out. He has 3 tanks, don't get me wrong, and he's working on his Vikings and Ravens, but because he doesn't have any push potential, because he went for a faster 30C, it means that Tavo's getting away with, you know, his own quote-unquote greed, like on-location bases, double E-bays, double upgrades. Now we're seeing a mass doom drop. This is a bit of an anti-timing. 1-1 is still 3/4 of the way done, but doesn't matter. We do see a mass doom drop here into the natural base. The first tank goes down. The second tank is going to go down as well. The boys are being pulled. Can Lixow defend here with the help of these Ravens and Vikings? Ooh, double disable. Very nicely done. It looks like Lixow may be able to clean this up, but not without losing 21 plus workers. Ay. And the mules. A very close defense there by Lixow. Again, he cleaned up the army, which is cool, but was it worth it in losing all those workers? Not really. It's one of those things where Tavo, he's just been mainly losing Marines. He lost 2 tanks, don't get me wrong. But like, that's the power of this opener, is that like he has so many disposable units. 1-1 is done after the fight ended, but 2-2 immediately starts. Ooh, Raven gets picked off. Viking gets picked off. The tank count of Lixow is looking pretty strong, and that is definitely something that he can leverage, but he just doesn't have much of a buffer. Like, because of that, he's having a hard time just leapfrogging forward, zoning out the Marines. He wants the orbital. This is a little bit greedy. Oh. Pulls back in the end. There we go. The 3rd is finally up and running. We have a 2nd factory on the way. 5 Raxes already. Lixow does land his 3rd, at least. And he is ahead of the tank count still. You know, bear that in mind. He still has the tanks. I worry about the Marines, though. Like, I worry about his buffer. Like, he may have tanks, but can he protect those tanks? Can he stop Tavo from stimming on top of them? Tavo with that upgrade advantage, I think it's going to be a hard ask, a tough ask for Lixow. Oh boy, speaking of that ask, here we go. Tavo is pushing out across the map. He's got his 3rd base fully saturated. His 4th now on the way on location. We have a sensor tower just in case there was going to be a doom drop here on the left hand side. I love the positioning of the tower because it also covers the left hand kind of dead space outside of the main. And here we go. Tavo pushes on forward with his army. Again, has less tanks, but more than enough Marines. GG gets called, and Tavo takes the series 2-0. GG. Also, do I not have music playing? No, I have music. Okay. I was like, I feel like that was a little bit quiet. Okay, it's all good. It's all good. GG, well played. Congratulations to Tavito for taking that series. Again, he came in as a favorite, but you know, I was still relatively impressed by Lixow. Like, I do still see some sparks of brilliance there. There is a skill gap between the players, but I hope Lixow isn't discouraged. I hope to see more of him, because I was just checking, it's the first time he's ever played in a Copa Hyperion, surprisingly. It's his first tournament in 4 years. Oh my god. Welcome back, Lixow. Welcome back. It's always great to see returning blood, returning talent coming to the scene. So I hope to see more of him in the future. Meanwhile, Tavo, he takes down one Brazilian player, and he's going to move on to face another.